Hey Brawlers, I'm Mr. Hoodat, and in this video, I'll be going over the meta changes throughout the month of October and how they affect each hero's strength to help others prepare for their November climb. I'll be comparing my end of the month tier list to others and going over the major discrepancies between the two. I hope you enjoy. This month, we received two major patches that completely shook up the meta. On October 4th, we had patch 63.3, where we saw pretty big buffs to 4 different slay units, as well as the more important removal of Adventurer. This removal changed the entire landscape of the game. The meta slowly shifted from one of racing to tier 6 and completely transitioning to a different composition into a more mid-game focused game flow with scaling instead of drastic transitions. With the new October 18th patch, we received many new additions and changes to the game. We saw plus 100 sword moving to tier 7, which followed this trend of mid-game scaling becoming more prominent. Gone are the days of grabbing plus 100 and throwing Good Boy, Doom Breath, or Baby Bear into first slot and dominating those that did not collect this treasure. Soul Talk moving to tier 4 and Shoulder Fairies moving to tier 5 really helped out Trents in the mid-game, which is the main cause of the resurgence of tree comps we've been seeing this month. Shoulder Fairies is also a great luxury unit for slay compositions as well, after they have already started to scale. The Princess White nerf really slowed down the meta and allowed a more linear scaling at tier 4 to develop. By now, it's not a secret that slay has become pretty dominant in the meta, as their form of exponential scaling leads to a much more powerful endgame at the cost of being more risky to perform. Trents have a safer linear scaling without the need to complete the slay condition, but this leads to them being outscaled by slay once it gets down to the final 4. Dwarves have been completely shut out of the meta with the white nerf and their very small window of strength. Royals are still in a good spot, but need to rely on Arthur scaling now rather than Good Boy plus 100 with wizards and sure shots. The tier 6 compositions of old are too hard to assemble while trying to survive against slay, trees, and royals, due to the game slowing down and giving more time to scale from tiers 4 to 5. You're still able to obtain them with upgraded polywoggles, but it's a lot less powerful than before. With this meta-analysis out of the way, let's get to what everyone's here for, the tier list. Since this is the first tier list video of the series, I decided to grab a random tier list this time to go off of. Ugh, what is this? This is horrible. Who the heck made this tier list? Oh, okay, maybe he knows a thing or two. Make sure to check out Lil Nenko live on Twitch, which I've linked in the description. He provides a very chill experience with live analysis similar to what I do in my videos, all while grinding the top ranks of Storybook Brawl. I've been very impressed by his plays whenever I tune in. I thought it'd be good to show how different top players' opinions are due to their different experiences and playstyle biases. I urge you to not blindly follow a single tier list, but use it as a guideline to build your own personal tier list that fits what you enjoy to play. Starting from the bottom, I agree with the placements of Cursed King, Grandmother, Pup, Fates, Zelua, Mordred, and Muerte, with a bit of a difference in the ordering of these heroes. Cursed King is near the top of F, due to him offering some semblance of economy. Health is way too precious for this hero to be anywhere above F at the moment, and 1 gold becomes less and less valuable as the game goes on, yet his power becomes more and more punishing. Grandmother giving herself 10 extra health is just wiped away after the first few fights due to having no hero power. At tier 6 in this meta, +3/+3 is pretty meaningless when everyone has giant trees and monsters, and the best comp for her to play is animals, which is way too slow to assemble, especially on a powerless hero. My opinion of Pup has gotten worse and worse the more I try to make him work. He's alright around tier 3 for a few turns, but until he gets stronger tier 4 supports to transition into, he'll remain in F. Fates is a treasure-reliant hero that simply does not offer as much upside as the other treasure heroes. Zelua, while a great hero to dream into later, simply doesn't come online fast enough for this meta. You either want early game stats to protect your HP, or a power spike around tiers 3 to 4 to help you scale while winning fights. Zelua does neither of these, warranting him his F placement. Mordred is a fun hero to use and another great late game dream target, but similar to Zell, he comes online too late, and with his current bug of deleting your units, he's simply unplayable. Muerte lost his biggest strength of being able to Grimsoul proc Adventurer slay twice. He comes online around tier 5, but this is too late as other heroes have punished him early and outscaled his double mummy or monster book procs. I've moved his Morgan Le Fay, Geppetto, Snow Angel, and Krampus from D down to F. Morgan typically gives you a tier 4 treasure on average, which is the least impactful timing for a treasure. Rewarding you for being put into kill range is a terrible power. Geppetto is at the top of F for me, because his power can keep you alive for a bit if you can get peep early on. Animals are terrible in this meta though, as they offer the worst permanent scaling effects and need too many units and treasures to work late game. Snow Angel can help you get good trees and royal triples, but her power simply isn't impactful enough for this meta. It's a weak version of stats and a weak version of economy. She'd be better off doing one of these well, rather than both of them horribly. Although Krampus gives early stats, these stats are generally wasted, and do not help with breakpoints, as evil units are low health and already trade up with high attack. I'll explain further on the differences between Krampus and Mrs. Claus later. Moving on to tier D, I agree with Pan Shadow only, as I've already moved 4 heroes down a tier. Pan Shadow is a bit better than Cursed King, as he doesn't lose HP, although he's forced to take evil units to gain his extra gold each turn. I think Jack's Giant has enough of an early impact to be more valuable than each F tier hero. His power pairs well with Slay, potentially keeping Slay units alive after they've been attacked, and with Treants, his power can help give good attack when paired with Darkwood Creeper. Headless Horseman needs to be given more credit. He helps you immensely at tier 3 when he uses kidnaps early on. If you get an early Cinderella or Wizard familiar, his power pairs really well with them, especially considering you can often steal an additional Cinderella and move into Royals. I've moved Beauty and Celestial Tiger down from tier C. Although Beauty's buff affects the most prominent comp in the meta, fighting for this comp is a tough task, and the additional stats isn't that big of a deal. Often, her power hurts the endgame of this comp, as you cannot play Shoulder Fairies or Echo Wood, as her power turns everything good. Celestial Tiger has good treasure targets, but he's not only a hero that relies on getting treasures, he relies on getting specific treasures to work well. This is too specific of a power to work often, causing him to be one of the bigger bust heroes. I've moved Potion Master from tier B to D. This is one of the 5 big discrepancies between our lists. While Potion Master gained a targeted spell with Mix-a-Wizzle, there's just not enough of them to consistently get buffs early to mid-game. You're better off picking a hero with more reliable stats and playing a composition that can scale itself, rather than scaling with spellcasts. Placing Potion Master above Merlin seems crazy to me. Nenko explains that it's due to being able to target the buff gains, rather than it being random, but you're simply not casting enough targeted spells to get more value than Merlin. Again, I'm not saying he's wrong, but this is just one of those heroes where our experiences and opinions differ greatly. Moving on to tier C, I agree with Trophy Hunter and Sadrak's placements, except I think Trophy Hunter is a bit better. With Dwarves and Royals being less prevalent, Trophy Hunter isn't taking 20 damage in the mid-game while trying to assemble his combos anymore. He has more time now, while others are attempting to scale. Sadrak lost a lot of power with that single toughness being stripped away from him. He's still a solid pick, but he can no longer completely take over a game. To the shock of many, I moved Mrs. Claus from F to C. Compared to Krampus, buffing good units is simply much stronger. You're giving units that survive multiple hits plus 1 attack, and the pool of good units is way better between tiers 2 and 3. You have Sure Shot Ranger, Unicorn, Happy Tree, Baby Root at tier 2, and she turns Peep from a unit with 4/4 total stats into 8/8. Claus transitions well into Royals and Trees, plus she dual wields pistols like a badass. I've moved Sir Galahad from B down to C. Galahad gets a bit weaker with a nerf of dwarves, as his power leads him into compositions that can obtain easy upgrades. Galahad is still a strong pick as a high tier C hero, but his inconsistency from relying on upgrades keeps him from B tier in my mind. I've moved Wonder Waddle from tier S to the front of tier C. This hero simply doesn't perform well for me to warrant anything above C. He doesn't fit very well into scale meta, although he can collect upgraded polys and move into tier 6 compositions instead. It does feel great when you have the games where you get early Blind Mice upgrades or White Stag and Pig upgrades, but those games are few and far between. I'll be picking Waddle way more often next month to confirm my placement, but after 100 games in previous metas, he was one of my worst performers out of my top picked heroes. Moving on to B tier, Evola is the only hero we both placed in B, and I agree she's bottom of that tier. Her new power is better for summons and worse for her backline. The biggest reason I dislike this hero now is because you're feeding scaling units to Slay and Trees with your summons, and their backlines will just trade with yours now. I've moved Merlin and Mad Catter up from tier C to tier B. These two heroes just offer too many stats to be in C tier. They're both incredibly powerful in the mid game, letting you get into any composition you desire. I've moved Peter Pants down from tier A. Pants got a lot better with Mix-a-Wizzle in the game, assisting in his hatball comps. I do not think he warrants a spot in A though, as he still struggles to get first. I've moved Pied Piper from S to middle of B. I understand the sentiment of placing Piper in S, but I simply don't see it. There are too many animals in the pool for you to collect Polywoggles or other animal triples consistently. Animals do poorly in this meta, and the only thing I see this hero good for is a bit of early stats and the potential to collect extra polys. If you are surviving to the point of getting additional good boys or bear stains, you were probably already in a good position, and it wasn't strictly because of the additional animals given. With 2 tiers left, we move on to A. I've kept Miri and Gwen in similar positions. Miri is often an incredible hero, but his small chances to bust out an 8th keep him from S tier. Gwen has many different viable playstyles in this meta. Holding out for a tier 4 Chupacabra or Heartwood Elder target can give you free wins, or you can play safer and target Happy Tree or strong tier 3 units like Stag or Princess White with good results. No matter what you choose, you hardly ever miss with this hero. I've had many great games experimenting with early targets like Cutpurse and even Egg. I've moved Skip and Chiron up from B tier. I have Skip at the top of this group as 3 XP got more valuable with the exit of Adventurer. Skip can scale fast with an early Chupacabra or Heartwood Elder, or simply play his old style of survival and switch into a tier 6 composition. Chiron is better than the other stat heroes in my mind because early buffs onto Sure Shot Ranger or Happy Tree are incredibly valuable in this meta. Switching into Slay becomes very easy as he buffs Vampire to Slay more often, allowing him to scale Shadow Assassin quickly. I've moved Horde Dragon from D into A. Similar to Nenko loving Potion Master while others place him low, I love Horde Dragon. Horde Dragon has been incredibly consistent for me and one of my top performers throughout every meta. Compared to other treasure heroes, this one is the most valuable for late game. Often getting a single tier 3 treasure early is enough to give him an early power spike to stay on curve with other stat heroes. Being able to obtain super easy tier 6 treasures with Nian or Lancelot gets him ahead of the curve fast. Once you've stabilized into late game, tier 7 treasures will often just give you the win. He has easy access to roundtable trees or plus 100 good boy late game, and Holy Grail is a complete free win, getting you upgraded 6 units with 3 tier 7 treasures. Give this hero a chance, and I promise you he will change your mind if I already haven't. With the final tier, I placed the 3 best heroes in this current meta as Loki, Fallen Angel, and Mask. If you don't like Loki due to randomness, let me offer you a random 50-50 opportunity between getting $100 or $50. Sounds pretty good, right? Loki is good RNG, and offers the highest economy out of every hero in the game, and it's not even close. It's not even close to being close. With a 2 out of 13 chance to get XP at tier 3, and a 2 out of 20 chance at tier 4, you're often getting more XP than the rest of the lobby. Casting economy tier 2 at a 4 to 5 chance makes him one of the strongest early game heroes. Casting combat spells throughout the game while generating all this economy makes him pretty much untouchable in mid-game fights. This hero is simply absurd. Fallen Angel has been moved up from A due to her incredible power spike at tier 3. She does well playing with Slayer Treants, and is the best tier 3 to 4 hero in the game next to Loki. There is no such thing as a low roll with this hero. Mask is S tier due to his incredible versatility. Getting an early game hero or instant value hero off his first stream is a likely scenario, which gives him a very normal game with a good chance for a late game hero to easily close the game out later. Allowing you to choose a hero after you've already chosen 4 units and see your first tier 3 board gives you an opportunity to pick a hero that caters to your current situation. For example, if you start the game with Krampus or Pan Shadow and you're not given many good evil units early, you've low rolled. But if you know you're going into evil by tier 3 and you're given the option to choose these 2 heroes now, they become great picks because their downsides of needing specific units and a weak late game get taken away. And that about wraps up this month's tier list. As you can see, the differences between 2 top players' opinions is pretty big, and if you add in more players, the differences will just grow and grow. There is no ultimate epic tier list for instant mythic climb, and anywhere you look, you will see major differences, so take a look at these 2 lists, judge for yourself which change you like and which you don't like, and feel free to make your own changes to fit your playstyle and enjoyment. Maybe you have your own trademark hero that you do very well with, so don't let others dictate the way you want to play the game. Because after all, the best way to climb is to enjoy what you're playing so it doesn't feel like a chore. Thanks for watching.
For in the fangs of the fox you will receive